Working for you. A weekly talk radio program which highlights developments of national interest and the activities of your St. Kitts Nevis government. Join host Roy Williams as he presents news, views, reports, and interviews about everything regarding the activities of the Team Unity government and the building of our communities and the development of St. Kitts Nevis. Tune in and call in to interact with your government and share your views regarding the upward forward development of your community and our beautiful Twin Island Federation. Working for You is weekly, every Wednesday live from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. on ZIZ Radio, Win FM, and Sugar City FM with rebroadcast on participating stations. Working for You.
Good afternoon and welcome to Working for You. We do apologize for the late start. Thank you very much for joining us for today's program, wherever you are. Today, I have with me officials from the St. Christopher Children's Home. We know that we have a children's home here, and we are going to be hearing more about it, what happens at the children's home, what is mission and vision, and so on. I have with me Linda Paddy Williams, who is a volunteer at the home and who is also a member of the board of directors.
That's correct.
Welcome, Linda.
Thank you. Good to be here.
I have with me Shanizwa James, who is acting administrator of the St. Christopher Children's Home. Welcome.
Thank you.
And I have a very familiar name, Naima Hazel, who is co-chair of the board of directors.
I'm vice chair of the board of directors.
And vice chair.
Vice chair, yes. Our
Welcome,
chair is
Naima.
Thank you very much.
Okay, great. So we are going to have a very lively discussion today. Now, before we, get into everything else, I would like one of you to tell me what is the mission and the vision statement of the St. Christopher's Children's Home.
Ms. James.
Okay, the mission statement for the St. Christopher's Children's Home is to provide a safe, secure, nurturing haven for at-risk children of the Federation.
Mm-hmm.
The vision statement, Linda, you would have the vision statement? It's actually the same.
It's the same.
The vision and the mission
yes.
statement.
The vision is the overall goal and the mission is,
Actually the same. And the St. Christopher's Children's Home caters for who?
for the children of the Federation who are at risk, especially in terms of emergency care. Over the years, it's become long-term care because, of course, there's really not too many places to put the children back in. And, a lot of our children get older and they're difficult children to place in the foster care system or to get adopted. We don't do that many adoptions out of St. Kitts. So it ends up that we end up keeping children much longer. But we are there for emergency care because, every day there's a child who's at risk and needs a place of safety. So really the best way to describe the children's home is a place of safety for children who require care, whether they're leaving abusive situations or they've been abandoned, maybe a parent has traveled, maybe they're not getting the right care, or it might be physical or emotional neglect. It could be any reason, but most of our cases come through the courts. So the children are actually wards of the state, and they're placed in our care. Correct.
Okay. So you have legal permission to have those children at the home. That's
Correct.
What you're saying.
That's what's set out by the legislation, that the home is a place of safety. Yeah.
Right.
And to be honest, it's actually the only place of safety for children in St. Kitts and Nevis. We don't have a home or an orphanage type facility or a place of safety like that in Nevis. So as a institution is actually the only place of safety in St. Kitts and Nevis for children.
Right. Now, as a home, as a children's home, who are some of the partners that you work with in carrying out what you just read, your mission statement?
So you mean like our...
Who partner with you? Who
works with
partners
us?
with the home?
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's
We-
talk about some,
Linda.
some of,
Yeah.
okay. Some of the local partners that contribute on a regular basis would be Island Bakery, Springfield Egg Farm, the Spice Mill, Top Banana of Sandy Point, Spice of India, Ross School of Veterinary Medicine, Sophia Matthews, who's a friend of the home, Sally Martin from Mojitos, and Windsor University. These are people that contribute.
And Salisha Khan.
regularly.
And
Oh,
Salisha
Salisha
Khan.
Khan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't forget Salisha. She takes all the kids
Exactly.
all the
Birthdays,
time for
exactly.
birthdays.
Right, right.
Right.
So those are just people that work with the home and businesses that continually support the home. But there's more.
Okay.
There's more. Go ahead.
Right. Now, of course, the children's home, as you mentioned, Naima,
Yes.
provides an environment of safety
Yes, please.
for children who somehow need it.
It's not
Because-
somehow. We need it in the country.
Right.
We need
Yep.
a place of safety. Every child that is at any time at risk will require a need of safety.
Yes.
Place
So,
of safety. Every country has to provide that.
precisely.
Correct.
And you spoke about at-risk children. Children who were abused, neglected, children whose parents probably would have died and they have nowhere to go
Or migrated.
or migrated. Now, of course, children need physical, emotional, psychological,
Correct.
and spiritual support.
That's right. Holistic development.
The holistic development. Now, how is that catered for at the children's home?
I'm actually glad you asked that. I'm going to turn it over to Shan. I call her Shani, although when you just said that name, it's the first I ever heard that name. I don't think I've ever heard her full name. But as Shani mentioned earlier, she's the new acting administrator, and so I would like her to speak to that in her new role.
Okay, we run the home basically like any other home outside. We have children. First of all, our children must be in full-time education. It is a must at the children's home, providing you in that educational age. Then they have to be involved in church, not just be another face in the pew, but you have to take an active role in your church. We have counselors who take time out, yes, and come and help the children when they're going through any kind of situation that they don't necessarily might feel comfortable in talking to a house parent or the administrator. We enroll the children, or we like to have the children choose their extracurricular activities. Something that they feel they would excel at and they could use it outside of the home later on when they already left the home. We have, we have mentors. We're trying to actually get a lot more mentors, whether mentors from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis and even outside, abroad. So these are some of the things that we do to try to contribute to the holistic development of a child.
Would you like to add anything, Naima?
I would.
Sure.
Well, some of our, as we talked about extracurricular activities, every year the home, what we aim to do is just try to continue improving. So as we see the needs for the children, we try to provide for those needs. So like she was saying, extracurricular, some of the kids do guitar. They do like yachting, things they might not be exposed to, dance, football, cricket. So we try to keep them in those things, and we pay for that. That's part of the cost to the home. But what she was saying lastly, was about mentoring. And we do need a lot of mentors. But in saying that, we also want people to come that are committed to the home. Because a lot of the children in the home, people take for granted, like we were talking earlier, these are children who are neglected or abused. But we have to remember that children that come into the home, not only are they at risk, but they're extremely vulnerable. So the things that they need in terms of assisting them are probably more challenging. It's not an institution where you're in conflict with the law, but so it's different. It's a care home, but they have special needs. So when she says counseling, yeah, the regular child can go to counseling once a month, but children at the children's home really need consistent counseling, and it's hard to maintain those services because we have a limited amount of human resource in that area. So that is a bit of a challenge for us. But the mentoring, we would love some mentors, but only if you're going to be committed, because a lot of these children have experienced abandonment, and it's very difficult to bring on a mentor, and they get kind of attached to their mentor, form a bond with the mentor, and then the mentor leaves.
Right.
And it often leaves the children actually worse off than when the mentor hadn't come. So we want these kind of relationships, so we also want to build them. We're not trying to make an instant thing.
Sure.
We're trying to teach the children that there are healthy relationships, even though they've come from some difficult circumstances. A lot of children come from difficult circumstances and are able to succeed. So really our goal is to give them the best opportunity to succeed. We actually want the children's home to be better than when they were in their home. Because why did you leave somewhere to come somewhere that's not better? So we're really aiming to make the home better for them, that they feel comfortable and there's not a stigma attached to them coming to look for care.
So a positive environment.
Yeah, we're doing our best. Yeah.
Right. Now, when was the home founded, by the way? When was the St. Christopher's Children's Home founded?
Well, the doors will actually open on the 12th of January 1950. So next year will be our 70th year.
70th year.
Yes, since we've been open.
And who founded it?
Miss Millie Neverson. Yes.
Millie Neverson. I always
Yes.
get that wrong.
Yes, Millie Neverson. Yes.
Millie Neverson.
Yes.
Okay. So you depend on volunteers.
We do.
You depend on donations.
We do.
You depend on fundraising
Yes.
in order to support the home,
Yeah.
Correct. In order to run the home.
to run the home. Right.
For all the operational costs, we
For
depend
all
on
the
that.
operational costs.
The majority, about 90% of the cost.
Right. Now, what is the involvement, or is there any involvement with some of these children's parents in their lives at the home?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, a couple of them. Yes, the families still do visit. At Christmas time, we usually send the children once they have been taken from the family. In not a bad situation and not a bad way, you are allowed to visit the children. You are allowed to spend time with them weekends, because at the end of the day, we are trying to reintegrate you with your family, because that's the goal. Everybody wants to have a family. So they do go with their families at Christmas time, to feel loved and special just like everybody else. So some of the families are involved in the children's home.
Yeah. And also remember, some of the parents want to take care of their children. I think that people always assume that when children are in the children's home, it's because the parents don't want them.
Right.
But some of the parents really want to take care of their children, but they are being mature enough to admit that they're not able to take care of their
Right,
children the way they
right.
need to. So those parents almost have to create a parameter that's a good parameter for them, where they can have a relationship with their children, but it's a relationship that's helping them and not hindering them.
Right.
So in that way, we're almost co-parenting with them.
Okay. Now, how many children would you have at the home?
We have 8 children in total right now, but with a capacity to hold up to 30.
Yes. And we've had, I think last year we had like 16.
Yes.
And so it goes up and down.
1 minute you'll have 8, the next minute you'll have 29 at your doorstep.
Yeah. And it's multiple ages,
Yes,
which people
yes.
don't understand. The
Nothing
children's-
under 5 years old though.
Nothing under 5, but
Yes.
it's difficult to comprehend what happens at the children's home
Yes.
unless you imagine having a house of 8 children
Yes,
or
okay.
16
Sure.
children
Right.
from age 5 to 19. Because we have some children who are older than the age of the home but are incapacitated and such that developmentally they're below the age, so they stay in the home
And
as
they
well.
need,
and
help
they
and
require
care.
a lot of
Yeah,
care
lot.
and also reintegration. So those children then have to get jobs. So we help them to find jobs and placements so they could learn life skills and working skills so that they're not forever dependent on the home, but learn to be independent, separate from the
Right.
home.
Now, as a children's home, there must be certain international treaties or protocols that you have to abide by.
Of course.
What are some of them?
Well, I think that if we just think about the international rights of the child, which St. Kitts was actually one of the first to sign, hey St. Kitts, but in the international rights of the child, that is really the main document,
The UN, yeah.
the UN document that really guides all of our practice. And of course, then we have to abide by ethical rules and laws as set out by the local and national legislation. So we follow the rules. We follow the rules and the protocols, and there's a lot of rules and protocols when you care for
Yeah.
children.
Yes.
But we try to subscribe to them and lead our and guide our actions following the protocols as best we can.
I'd like to say
Sure,
something about
Linda.
the Convention on the Rights of the Children. There are actually 54 articles in that convention, and St. Kitts did ratify it.
Yeah.
And basically what it states is, in essence, that that children are entitled to special care and assistance. The best interest of the child shall be the primary consideration. And that's what we try to abide by at the children's home.
Yeah.
You know, we grow up in an environment sometimes thinking or hearing that children must be seen, they must not be heard. These kinds of saying. Or a child tries to express him or herself in the household, and the parent says, "Shut up! Shut up! Don't talk to me. If you want to talk to me, find your own place." There's a lot of that sort of emotional abuse that goes on in the home with children. They are not allowed to express themselves the way that they would like to express themselves. Their expression is stifled. And then that translates into when they get into school. And then you wonder why it is that they are so quiet and they are not able to express themselves.
Or sometimes they overexpress when they get to school.
Or sometimes
they don't have the avenue
or
to
then
express.
they-
Yeah.
There's
And
some
the-
guidance counselors right
Yes.
now, like, I got some overexpressing kids up in here. So sometimes they overexpress when they get to school because that's their only opportunity to do that. True.
Right.
People think they're behavioral, but it's not. It's that at home they can't express themselves.
They can't express themselves at home. And then on the other hand, you have certain situations where children are actually abused. They are not in a home, they're not in the children's home, for example, but they are abused.
Right.
You know? And I say that to say that sometimes we think children don't have rights. Children have just as many rights as adults.
And responsibilities.
And responsibilities as well. We have to remember that. Rights always go along with
Yeah,
responsibilities.
I think adults have a hard time with children's rights when they feel it doesn't come with responsibilities. Yeah, and children are great with their rights, but not so wonderful.
And some
about
people
their
feel, oh,
responsibilities.
you only have rights when I stop feeding you and sheltering you and clothing you. That is when you have rights.
That's the culture.
Apart from that, that's the culture. You have no rights.
Yeah, but I think don't you think it's generational that? Because I think it's generational because I think even in dealing with the children home, the children that they had to deal with in 1950 are nothing like the children that we have to deal with in 2019 or the parents that we have to deal with in 2019. And a lot of the times we assume that parents have skills, but a lot of parents don't even have the skills in their home. So when you use the example of the child is talking out, a lot of times parents are frustrated about things that have nothing to do with children, but they don't explain to children that they're frustrated about things that have nothing to do with children. So children internalize it, and that's a lot of the stifling because they're afraid to speak up, you know. Either going to get lashed or they're looking for approval, and it actually can create a lot of dysfunctional and high-risk behaviors and outcomes. But the children are just a different generation. When we were growing up, we respected, like there was a respect for your parent. Any adult. Any adult that was anywhere that spoke to you, you knew to get your stuff together, you know? And then as a generation, we kind of had it as the parents come down, but I find by each generation, it's almost like we get slack about the things we didn't like that much. And so we're not actually transferring the skill that was in it to the children. They're just like, we're like, listen, when I was growing up, blah, 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 but we're not saying, listen, you know, when we were growing up, we had a lot of responsibilities. We're like, oh, I had to carry this amount. My mother used to tell me, oh, I had to carry the water. It's like, Ma, you carried water for real though.
And look after the animals.
And look after the animals. Mom, really, you did? I don't believe you did. You know? And that was us. But we don't even have that story to tell our children. We don't tell them, listen, every day I go to work, I work at the factory, I have to work 12 hours a day, I only make this much money. When I get home, sometimes I'm frustrated. So if I yelled at you, I'm sorry I yelled at you, but it's not about that. I'm worried about these things. And if I have a little bit, we don't have that. So because we don't have it, we're not passing it on to our children, and they're not understanding the responsibility part. But they have a lot of access to information, so they understand the rights part.
Yes.
So almost it's our responsibility as adults. So that's one of the things in the home. That's one of our struggles to teach the kids, because the issues that we have in the home are the same issues that people have in their homes. And right now we have a lot of teenagers. Yeah.
And that's usually sort of a turbulent
A turbulent
period
time
in a child's life.
So even for our staff, it's a struggle because, it's one thing to talk to your own child, but you have to keep in mind all of these conventions and be careful in how you deal with and talk to other people's children.
Right.
So that requires a lot of continuous training.
Yes.
Not because people are not kind in their hearts, but because we don't have those skills. They don't come naturally. It's not like when you learn to drive a car, you go to a driving lesson, you take your lessons, you pass a test. Nobody has to do that to be a parent.
Yes.
Nobody has to do that even to work in childcare, really. So we have to be very vigilant in that as well, because we're trying to teach the children not just make the children comfortable, but also teach them when they go into their own families, not to repeat some of the mistakes that were made when they came into the home.
So you're saying that there are avenues for professional development
Absolutely.
Yes.
for those who work at the home.
Yes.
What are some of them, Linda?
Well, I'll let Ms. James
Okay.
address that.
Well, we've done a number of training on the staff while they're there. Yes, we've done some first aid training. We've done training with NEMA. We've had conflict resolution training. So we've done a number, almost every year, we try to incorporate at least 2 training sessions for the staff, just so they could be equipped with all the knowledge and stuff like that. Know that other people out there understand what they're going through also in the home. So yes, we do training.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we have an MOU with government. Well, not completely, so I'm working on it.
Sure.
But we've been developing our MOU with government, and one of those, one of the stipulations, which has actually not been an issue for us, is that when they have training for their child care protection persons, then we also include our staff in that training. So we
Okay,
just had to
sure.
work with them about tweaking scheduling, because we have a limited staff.
Sure.
And so we get the government training for our staff for free.
Okay. So you are involved in basically the best practices
We're doing
with
our
respect
best.
to the.
Yes.
I'm just
You're
being
doing
honest
your
with you.
best, yes.
We're doing our best practices the best we can, because sometimes you never experience something until you've experienced it.
Right.
And then you have to refer back to those things like, okay, this is the situation, this is the rights of the child, this is the responsibilities of home, this is the legislation. Let's make sure every decision we make is in line with this, this, and this. It's like you just have to keep going back and looking at it, because every organization is growing, and all of us have to look in every institution. You have to always look. Best practices is re-adapting your practices. What was the best practice in 1982 is surely not the
work
best
right
practice
now.
in 2019. So
Certainly.
that's why I say we do
Because
our
they're
best.
dynamic. They're
'Cause it's
changing
dynamic.
all the time.
Yeah, and I like the word you use. So we're trying to find dynamic ways to meet
Right.
the need with limited resources, but keeping in mind how important that work that we're doing is.
Right. Now, Linda, maybe you can read for us the rights of the child. I think there are 12 of them, aren't they?
No, the
there's
convention is 54 articles.
There's 54, but there is there are 12 rights of an orphan child. Maybe I should say that.
Yeah, but orphaned is very particular because it
That's
means
right.
their parents
yes,
would have
yes,
died.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
We don't actually have that many orphans in the children's home, believe it or
Right now,
not.
we don't have any.
Actually, I think we don't have it.
Yes, we have one.
We have one, yes. So we don't have that many orphans in the children's home, but
Okay. But what are some of those UN rights?
Yeah.
Even if you don't read them
the
in
ones
their
that you think would be
entirety.
most pertinent. Linda's got to put on her specs.
Oh my God, there's just so many.
How could you read this? I have
Recognizing
on my
that the
glasses.
child, for the full and harmonious development of his or her personality, should grow up in a family environment. Okay, let's see. In an atmosphere of happiness, love, and understanding. And that's something that I think that we try to do. I want to say something about volunteers, because I started at the children's home as a volunteer mentor, and I still do.
Yes.
I have real good relationships with the children that are currently there, and also children that have gone on to be reunited with their families. The consistency. I've done this for 6 years, so they look forward to seeing me. When I go on vacation, I let them know that I'm going on vacation. I'm going to be gone for 3 to 6 months, because usually I go back to the States. And I keep in touch. I stay in touch with them. I call them. I send them pictures of what I'm doing, and my family. So, just basically, the rights of the children are the same as the human rights. The way that we want to be treated. Everybody needs to be respected. and that's basically what we're looking at here. And there's just a whole lot of detail to it, but basically just treat people the way that you want to be treated, the way that they should be treated. Everybody has human rights.
And one of those I've been reading is that children must be raised by or have a relationship with their parents.
Where possible.
Yes, and a child has two parents, isn't that so? Or
That's
supposed to
correct.
have two parents?
Should.
They don't have two parents.
They'll have to
And
parents.
should have the benefit of
They should have.
two parents.
Yes. I see a question forming there. You're gonna.
Yes.
You have this inquisitive face, like a question's coming. I'm waiting for it. I'm almost excited. You've had such good questions so far. What's the question coming?
You said a child should have two parents.
A
so
child
I wanted
should.
to
Qualify that?
Yes.
Well, because a child should have two parents. You should have a mother and a father. And ideally, we would like every child to have a mother and a father. But in our own culture, as I can speak to our culture, we have a lot of multi-families. So we have a lot of fathers who have lots of families. And we have mothers who have several fathers for their children. And then we have some fathers who are involved and some fathers who are not. You have some fathers who are single fathers and the mothers don't do much of anything. You have some fathers and mothers who co-parent very well together but are not together. And then you have parents who are together. We've got a very dynamic society when it
That's
comes to
correct.
family relationships and dynamics. But like Linda's saying, if we just would treat people like nobody wanted to be that child whose father didn't study them.
Right.
And nobody wanted to be that child whose mother neglected them. But yet we would have children and not study your children and neglect your children. And to be honest, just a little bit of time for your children makes such a big difference. In young women's lives, just the role of a supportive father and a positive role model
Yes.
could make a great big difference in a lot of the negative outcomes that we've been seeing in St. Kitts. And in a boy's life, I've worked with a lot of young boys over my time, and the absence of a father or the feelings of abandonment from a mother are very strong and powerful things that affect them their whole lives if they don't learn to manage them. And I know some people in your adulthood and you're thinking, that person, I remember once I had a teacher who, when I was a guidance counselor, we had asked about, I've told this story before, but we'd asked about students in 6th grade that were moving on to high school, and we were having a test of standards meeting. And I had asked, with the support of my principal, who was Mr. Clifford Gavai at the time, if there was any extenuating circumstances that these children could have experienced that would have affected their results, that this would be unfairly prejudicing them because they would have done poorly on the exam because they had, and everybody told me no. And I knew for a fact there was a child who'd lost a few family members to gang violence in like 3 months before that. And when I mentioned it, one of the teachers that were there was like, "Oh, you're too soft." She told me, "You're too soft. You just see things too soft. When I was growing up, my parent died, and I went back to school the next day, and I'm just good." And I was looking at this woman being rough with me, right? And I was like, "Are you good? Like, are you good? Do you feel like you're good?" And she was like, "Yes, I'm good. I'm good." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So sometimes in our own society, we don't see how not dealing with our issues or having somebody that we could see and learn to address and cope has affected us as adults and how we relate as adults. So we really don't want our children to come out of the home without that. So in a way,
true.
we want to offer something that a lot of homes are not even offering when they're stable,
Sometimes I wonder if the sort of anger that we see in young people, the sort of violence that sometimes we see them displaying, is not created by the home environment.
Yeah, the home.
That's the I always have that question, because sometimes the way that I see some parents treat their children,
But
and
also-
those children cannot respond.
it's
So
true.
it's almost like they become a bully.
So they
when
have a
go
lot
to
of
work.
pent up things inside of
Yeah.
them. For example, sometimes the way that they are, for example, Article 37 of the UN rights of the child. You have the right not to be punished in a cruel or hurtful way. And a lot of parents are involved in this. And they will tell you that you cannot spare the rod and spoil the child.
But you think that's what spare the rod?
That's not what it means. I know what it means. It means discipline.
Yeah, it means guidance.
Right. Guidance. That's what it means.
You never see a shepherd beat a sheep. You never see a shepherd beating up a sheep.
No, I know what it means. But of
guiding
course,
the sheep.
that is how it is. That is how it is interpreted, Naima.
That's how people choose to interpret it.
And we grew up, you know, your parents, they will take electric wire.
Yeah.
Switches off a tree.
And all kinds of things and beat their children. And if you run,
well, worse.
It's worse because they pick up some stone and they fling them after you.
Listen, I had a brother who used to hide. He never got licks. He always hid. He never.
And you're told, we're going to sleep tonight.
Yeah. It's funny that you would say that. Where am I going to sleep tonight?
We're going to sleep tonight.
Okay, some children do stay out on the road.
Yeah, you ask, where are you going to sleep tonight? So in other words, that you have to come home because when you come home, you're going to get them.
Yeah. But you know, some of those children don't come home. They go to a place where they can stay. And that place of safety belongs to somebody who is involved in gangs. Right. Then we wonder how so many of our children get in gangs. Because gangs, even though we like to call them gangs, criminal enterprises, whatever we want to call them, those are people who feed your children.
Yes.
And they are almost their own illegal children's home. Because when those children on the street have nowhere to go and no one to trust, they go to the leaders in their community who are usually leaders of gangs. That's how they make their money. And that's how they learn to make their money. When you have no skills, when you've left school and you're a school leaver and you have no skills, you need to make a little money because you have to eat. You got a girlfriend, she got a show coming up, she needs some hair and nails. Everybody likes a girlfriend. You got your mom needs some money to help with the bill. Because no matter how bad you think these little boys are, they love their mamas, okay? So it doesn't matter what their mother does to them, they love their mother, but they don't have the money. Where are they going to get the money? Or the person told them to leave their house and don't come back here tonight. If you can't come in on time, don't come back. They're going to go. Your mother leave you on the balcony, somebody from the gang is going to come support you. And once they help you, then they've helped you and you're in. So when they need help, then you need to help them. And then people can't understand why the boys don't leave gangs, so they got to eat. That's who's putting a roof over their head, that's who's putting food in their stomach, making them feel safe, sometimes giving them a weapon, so giving them some power and authority.
That sense of belonging.
A sense of belonging. So almost as a culture, we've become almost like we're feeding this thing that we hate so much. We look at the crime and we look at the need for child protection agencies and child care, and it's such a terrible thing because, you know, society reflects how it treats its women and children, reflects how a society is. Precisely. And we see these terrible things, but as a society, individually, all of us as people, because we love to blame, all of us as people almost contribute to it, because when you see a woman in the grocery and she's beating up her child for nothing because he asked for a candy, it's a candy. They're a child. It's at their level. That's why the candy is there. You can't see the candy on the shelf down here, but your child can see the nerd's candy on the shelf down here. That's what it's for. So your child is going to ask you for candy because they saw the candy. That's not a reason to start wailing out your child. Wait, ask the stupidest for blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And nobody has the courage to say, Miss. My sister tells me all the time, stop interfering. Miss, you don't need to talk to the child like that.
But how can you say it when the parent will tell you, mind your business?
It doesn't matter if the parent tells you to mind your business. That's like the logic of saying when we pass older people on the street, we shouldn't say hello if they don't say hello back. It doesn't matter if they say hello back. The point is that you said hello.
Exactly.
So I think if each of us took on the responsibility not of what normal people would do, or we're afraid of what other people will say, and we took it on to say right is right, wrong is wrong, this is how we as a society want to treat our children, then I think that we'd be in a better place, and there wouldn't be as great a need for institutions and as many responsive things to crime as opposed to preventative ways of dealing with crime.
I could never forget, it is still in my mind. I was coming to work one day. I was on a bus. And this was a few years ago. And this child had something in his hand, and he dropped it. It dropped. Take it up. One lick.
One coffee.
Cuff. Take it up. And it's amazing that that is what we do. Every little thing, whoop, whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
And I don't have any children.
Yeah.
But I often wonder about that kind of thing.
Yeah. And if you think we have 8 children in the home, how many children are out there experiencing that? And you could recognize it as abuse, but most people wouldn't recognize it as abuse. So they're like, when you come, like when the state comes for their children, they're like, well, what did I do?
Yeah.
Because
It's
everything
like
that
the
they
norm,
do, it's
right?
the norm.
It's
It's
the
just
norm.
like what their neighbor did. It's just somebody saw and reported you. So, we can't catch everybody, so we need to start making a change.
Why you are
in how we
hitting
see
the
it.
child for everything?
Everything. But the parents are frustrated, and maybe they too were hit for everything.
Right.
So it's the only thing they learned, and they feel it helped them. But how did it help you? Because now you hit your child for everything.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with disciplining your children. Don't get me wrong.
You're not
But
really
there's a way.
dealing with your anger in a healthy way. You're taking your anger out on
the
that child.
Yeah.
Exactly.
On the child. And the children are internalizing it. Our children, when you brought it back to the point of anger, a lot of our children have internalized anger. And as cliche as it sounds, hurt people really do hurt people.
Yes.
So not just violently, but even in relationships, how we relate to each other, in friendships, at work. Like, this is like, you're thinking like, that woman comes to work every day and just harasses me. Like, what is going on in her house, But hurt people really do hurt people. So when you have a society of people who are not dealing with their hurts and their traumas, then we're going to continue to have a lot of societal ills.
Yeah, and you mentioned the point earlier, Nahima, about some parents who are not equipped or are not mature enough to raise children.
Correct.
And sometimes they come to a place where you have mature people to raise.
They need help.
They need help.
Parents
You know?
need help. They need help. And that's another thing that's important is the services that are going on. So when you asked about family, that's important because when you have the children in the home, you also have to be building up the family because the children have to go back somewhere,
They
So
have to.
we really have to be putting more effort into parenting classes and mandating by law parenting classes and then having those things available for parents who, a lot of them really want the help. Like I know the Mothers Union, the Anglican Church used to do a real great parenting program. I don't know if that still goes on, but it was a volunteer program and a lot of young people went. We have a lot of teen mothers coming through the system. We should be encouraging them to take those programs through the teen mother programs that we have. So we just have to do a little bit more work on getting, I think, help for parents. We're really good at blaming St. Kitts, whose fault it is, but I think it's not about fault. At this point, there's so many problems, we have to start taking responsibility and offering solutions instead of just talking about the problems,
Okay. We spoke about how the home is actually supported.
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned some. Now, I know that every year you have an annual walk, run and family walk. It's going on for 10 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. You want me to talk? No? It's always me.
Yeah,
That's what I do all the time. It's not because they don't know it is. It's just I'm used to it, the walk run. This is our 10th year. It's our main way of raising funds. I know people come out every year and people go, "Oh, the children's home does get so much money. Oh, this year they raised $200,000." But it's really expensive to run a children's home. Right. Between the running back and forth, the vehicle, the food, the clothes, the salaries, the staff, so what we don't get, something we have to pay for. And like I was saying to you, like even services like psychological services, there's a lot of, we have free counseling, but everybody in the country goes to the same free counseling. So while the counselors really want to meet us as much as they can, we have to adjust to our schedule, their schedule, the state schedule, who's coming for this, adults, children, so it's a lot. So we are going to have to put in our own money for services like things like counseling. Sometimes we have to get those things privately or private tutors for the children. So a lot of expenses. Every expense. So every dollar that comes from the walk run actually goes back into the home. And I'm going to be honest with you, we don't have no money at the end of the year. I hate to say there's no spillover money. We're not like, we still got 50 grand from last year. No. We're like, let's not have to dip into our emergency fund this year. So that's one of the reasons that we started diversifying our fundraising efforts because we understood that everybody thinks that the fundraiser raises so much, but it wasn't actually raising enough to run the home. And so we thought, let's diversify for people who are not really into the family walk and try to do some other things just to create awareness for the home and, to serve some of our other goals like pulling in volunteers and mentors and corporate partners. And so we have a few other events that we've now spread out over the year. We have one coming up. Do you want to hear about it?
Sure.
Okay.
That's the one I want to hear about.
So the Children's Home Walk, as you see, is October 5th.
October 3rd.
3rd? 5th?
No,
What
the
is
fun
it?
run is on the 5th.
Sun Run is on the 5th, yeah.
The
So now you know
Martinez
that's way over there. But our next event is
The 30th.
actually
30th.
Martini night, yeah.
May 30th.
May
Thursday, May
30th.
30th.
So last year we decided that a good way to diversify was to do something fun for the ladies, and so we decided we would have a nice martini night. One of our partners is the Marriott. I don't know if we mentioned them as one of our corporate partners. But the Marriott, the Royal St. Kitts, the Marriott's Hotel and Casino, yes, and mostly the Design Group, really, are one of our partners. And as our partners, they're always showing us support in terms of fundraising. They are actually really help us to put on the fun run. That's how we manage to manage the cost and a lot of the logistics. But they've offered us Sky. The Sky
Oak
Bar.
Sky Oak
Yeah,
Lounge.
so we're having this year, instead of last year it was just martinis in style, but this year we're martinis in sky style because we want to work with our corporate partners and promote them as well. And it's a fashion show and like cocktail night. And usually last year the ladies came and we just had a great time. We gave away raffles and women chatted and fellas came too. All the pretty ladies are there, so fellas came too and bought raffles, and we just use it as a night for us to engage and enjoy each other. And this year we have 5 fashion houses. We only use local fashion houses. We tried to focus on young designers so that we could promote youth and social entrepreneurship. There we go. This year we have an oldie but goodie. Judith is going to abuse me because we have a few pieces from Judith Rollins Paul, who everybody used to know as Brown Sugar. She's going to put a few pieces in our show. For those of you who know Judith Rollins, this is a very rare thing. She doesn't really do design as much anymore, so we're really glad that she came out for us for this event. We also have Leslie Nisbet's line called Elle Couture, and she's a young designer, and I wear a lot of her stuff. When I do a lot of my events, and she's really great. She was with us last year and gave us like 2 great lines last year. We have Luxe Carib, which is a purse line made by Davina Baptiste, and that's locally made here with lambskin and beautiful leather. She does those pieces locally. And then we have the Y Agency, which is Yaniro Henry, and he actually does bow ties. I know you would like this. You should come because I know you like style.
I do, but I'm not a fan of bow ties.
No? So he does ties and bow ties and cravats. That's the right term, right? Cravats. And cravats. So we'll have that as well. Of course, women and men will be wearing them. And then we're also going to have a sneak peek from Empire Wear, who are going to be having a show on the 8th of June, but are going to come and show us some of the pieces that will be in their show. So those will go intermittently between entertainment. Our music is there's music and dancing by DJ Legal, who also donates his services to us every year for our events. So thank you out to Chetty Bradshaw. He donates those services, DJ Legal, every year. And it's just a great event. It's $75. I'll let
Yeah, and we
Ready to get to
have Harper's is selling tickets, so you can get your tickets there. Everyone, and the tickets are limited. So.
Yeah, they're limited tickets because it's a small space. But you get a martini with that. Yes, you
And
do.
hors d'oeuvres.
You get a special. They make us a very
Okay.
special martini, our own special martini and hors
Happy hour
d'oeuvres.
prices.
And you get happy hour prizes. The bar's at half price. And the $75, the entire $75 goes towards the children's home. We don't actually have to
Right.
pay Sky anything. They donate all of their supplies and the cocktails and the wine and everything
So
themselves.
this is on Thursday the 30th.
Thursday the 30th, and we also have
From
a lot
6:30 to 10.
Yes. And we have raffles from local donors, so we really appreciate all the local donors. If you are out there and you want to donate, this is me plugging. If you would like to donate any gifts or raffle prizes to the children's home, we always need them. They're one of our fundraising tools, so we're always happy to take a dinner or a spa or a service, anything like that. We always would like to have that. So you could just call the children's home at 465
4007
4007 766 4007. But we just like to thank those partners, and of course we do put our thanks up on our website. For those of you who know, we're on Facebook and also on our own website for the St. Christopher Children's Home.
Okay, so tell me something about your 10th annual run and family walk, Linda.
Oh, 10th annual family fun run.
I know you look forward to this every year.
Yes, every year, because this is where we get 90%
Of our money.
And people come out, families come out, and we have a really great time. Well, there's registration.
Nevis.
What? Yeah.
You should talk about Nevis.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to say, let me say something about Nevis.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to encourage people from Nevis to come over on the ferry. The ferry terminal, the ferry company will do a special run because the fun run is until 6 o'clock, and I understand that the last ferry goes over at 6. But if we have an idea of how many people are coming from Nevis, they will give a special rate, and then they will run a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
So there would be transportation from the ferry terminal to the golf course and transportation back to the ferry terminal.
So while we're here, you're going to let us come back in October
Yeah.
to promote for you?
If there's a space.
I feel like we're putting in our plug pretty early. Like, you know, it's May. I feel like we can get a little
We
space
can
to
always
promote
have a
again.
look at it.
I think we can get a little space to promote again, yeah.
And even though this is our 10th year, we did not go up on the price of the
No.
the tickets. The registration is $25, and with that, you get your Fun Run shirt,
Yeah.
A meal.
Yeah. A good meal, actually.
Yeah.
Raffle prizes again. We have raffle.
Well, we have raffle prizes.
So
We
raffles,
have-
yeah.
we
Last
sell
year we
raffle
had
tickets.
88 prizes. I can tell you this because I had to call out 88 prizes. And we're in Frigate Bay, and for those of you who were there last year, which was a lot of people, it started raining,
Yes.
but people didn't leave.
Yes.
And those mosquitoes, you know they're like small men. Oh.
Terrible.
They're like little men, and they were biting through people's clothes, but people were sticking it out for their 88 raffle tickets. So this year we're hoping there won't be rain. Our fingers crossed. But we thank everybody who came out last year. But please don't come out this year with your last year tickets or your last year shirts, because we had some people come out this year with some stuff that we were like, how did you get that? Because everybody's shirts are given to you at the
Event,
fundraiser,
yeah.
at the event, and people came in their shirts. And we were like, well, how did they get shirts? So we had to get smart and tighten up. We didn't think we had to tighten that up
And
for
tickets
charity.
that came from years prior.
Tickets from
Yes.
years prior. So we're hoping that this year people will come out and be reasonable, because, you know, we count our numbers and we hope that we'll get the numbers to get enough to run the home for the year. So are you going to come out to our event on the 30th?
I will consider it.
I see, and you got a room full of gentlemen. Yeah, you guys see me looking at you. You all turned around like you knew I was going to look at you. It's a room full of gentlemen that the people can't see back there in TV world. They all just agreed that they'd be coming to the May 30th event. I appreciate that. I saw you roll your eyes.
Oh, yeah.
May 30th is for a good cause. As we've been saying, you know, the Children's Home is the ideal public-private partnership because it is really run by the public. It's run by a statutory board that's elected every year. We have our general meeting, our governance is in place. And, you know, really, without the public, we could not run the home. So it's
Right.
actually a really successful example of a public-private partnership. And also the role of corporates. Because, you know, in St. Kitts, I do a lot of NGO work. And in St. Kitts, when I first started doing NGO work, I thought we were so behind because we were really struggling to get international grants. I used to do my work with the ACF. But what we discovered, we should talk about the garden, but what we discovered through our work was that our the corporate support in St. Kitts is phenomenal compared to throughout the region, where other people have to go and get international funding. And we thought we were behind because we didn't get international funding, but really we were ahead because everybody who gets international funding is trying to move into doing more community and corporate partnerships. And in St. Kitts, that's always been something. Like the businesses have always come out for the social needs. So I think that's something that as a country we should commend ourselves for and commend the corporate partnerships and the businesses who always support everything, even events that you're thinking, how is that helping them? But they always support everything. So I think we have to shout those people out as well. And our international partners.
Well, and our major donors, the ones that really support the fun run every year, like the Royal St. Kitts Hotel, the Royal Beach Casino, the Marriott Vacation Club, International Investments, Carib Crafts and Graphics, Galaxy Real Estate, Royal Utilities, Diamonds International, Henley and Partners, Food Center, Tropical Shipping. So
And
I always
there's-
love-
yeah.
I always love that the Royal
They
St.
do.
Kitts and Marriott both work together for the fun
Yeah.
run, you know, because often when we talk about sponsorship, we're always like conflicting sponsorships and a conflict of interest, and it doesn't matter because they're like, yeah, we compete. We're both hotels. We're actually literally across the street, but we both are going to come together for this event. And every year they're like, how can we help? How can we help? So we really appreciate that
Okay.
as well.
Now, all that you do at the Children's Home is, what must I say, supervised or it's run by a board.
Yes.
You have a board. Could you tell me something about your board and your board members?
Sure. We try to choose board members from throughout society, not just a select group of people. Currently, our chair is Kim Taylor, and everybody, I think most people know who Kim is. She works actually for Brian Kassab, and Kim is super organized. She's a super
Very
chair.
organized.
We really appreciate Kim. She really fulfills her role. It makes being vice chair quite easy. We have currently on our board a guidance counselor, a nurse, a media personality. We have
Accountant.
2 psychologists, an accountant, 2 accountants.
Okay.
We have 2 accountants, and trying to think who I've missed. A nurse.
A retired person.
And a retiree. Oh, and a youth member. We also have Duran Merchant just joined us from the head of the Lions. So we also have a youth member because we've been trying to add a youth member to the board for a few years. So we try to keep our board kind of diverse, but keep the professional areas that are areas that can aid the home.
Yes.
Because, we just have one administrator and assistant administrator who currently are assistant administrators, now are acting administrators. So we have no assistant administrator. So everybody does
you have
their
a doctor there too, MD?
We don't have a doctor,
Shelley
but we do
Springer?
have a nurse. Shelley, yes.
Oh, yes, Shelley
Oh,
Springer.
Shelley
Right,
is, yeah.
yes.
She's an
Isn't she?
MD.
I didn't know Shelley was an MD. Is
And
that
then you have
really? Things you learn. Exciting, Shelley.
Matron Sonia Daly.
Yes.
Right.
We do. So we try to keep
Right.
the board
very
pretty diverse
diverse.
and to meet all the needs. So like when we have an emergency, we could call a psychologist because we have to.
Yes. Yes.
And when we have things that are emergent services that we could provide for that, and of course we have the money to manage, and so we really want to make sure those things are in place and that those things are transparent. So we try to keep our records very open and transparent. We report regularly to government with our records how we spend our money, so that people can see we're not wasting the money and that the money is actually being used for purpose. Because that's really
You could
important.
even find out about the information when you come to the annual
annual
general
meeting, right.
meeting.
Yeah,
Yes,
right.
yes, it's open.
It's
for-
open,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Open to the
open for
public.
Yeah, it's open to
Have
the
you
public.
had any situation where children who were in the home have ran away from the home?
No.
Not since I've been there. I've
No,
been there now
not since-
3
Been there 6
years.
years.
You
Me too.
3
Yes,
years?
yes, but I have never. No, since I've been there, I haven't
known
had
each
any
and
of
every
those
one.
children.
And to be honest, a lot of the
Never
stigma,
runaways.
when I first, when 10, 15 years ago, you could always pick out the children in a school from the children's home. You'd be like, that child go to the children's home. But now you could not pick out the children
That's true.
that go to the children's home. And in fact, some of the children in the children's home have experiences that regular children in society wouldn't have.
And
So
I think the children really likes being there. That's why
like
they
it.
don't run away and those other. Walk to school and they walk come back from school sometimes. So we don't have any issues like that. Yeah,
Just
we
the
don't
normal
have any-
teenage
yeah,
stuff. Like
yeah.
you snuck, you wanted to see a boy, so you didn't come home on time.
So they really made like a family.
Yes,
in
they
there.
have.
it is.
Yes.
I think that's the best
Yes.
way to describe it because a lot of them have been there together
Yes,
for a
for
long
years,
time.
years.
We had a tea party the other day, and I'm only there 3 years. And some of the older members of the home, people who had been there previously, came back to talk to the children, and they were saying, "Listen, when we were in the home, we didn't have this, and we didn't have this, and we didn't have this. You guys are lucky. You have this." And then they showed the pictures when they were in the home. But some of the children in the pictures are children that are still in the
There
home
right now.
and
Yes.
these people that
Yes.
came are adults, have moved on with their lives. And I'm like, but some of these children are still here. That means they're here since they were very, very young. So
Yes.
a lot of those children grew up together in that home and are
Yes.
almost a de facto family.
Right.
So
And sometimes we have siblings as well. So
Yes.
18 years and under is considered a child.
Yes.
Basically.
legally,
Yes.
yes.
So when that child reaches 18 years old, what happens?
If you're in full-time education, then we keep you. But if you're not, if you're not, then we would help you to look jobs and a house and those other stuff to try to place you. Yes. We do have a few children who are older than 18 right now, but their mental capacity is under 16 years old, and we just don't want to send them out in the public to be eaten up. So those are going to be some of our core children, and we will hang on to those. But if you're 18 and in full-time education, we will keep you still until you finish, and then we could look at your next phase of your your life and how we can help you transition.
Because it's important that they learn the transition. And a new thing, like when you're talking about best practices, so we've just discovered, as you can see, reintegration is a problem. It's a problem in every institution. But we've started working, like I also work with the Advancement of Children Foundation, and we're trying to work together now because there's not a lot of youth organizations in the country. We probably have more organizations for dogs than we do for children, right? More NGOs. So we're trying to all work together because there's minimal resources. If we work together, we're a strong team. So we're working on a social enterprise program, and we're working with the Children's Home, which has its own garden now. We're very proud of our garden project. Come buy our fruits and vegetables.
We'll talk about that.
We'll get there.
Naira, but I'm going to open the lines after you finish.
For the social enterprise, where we're trying to teach the children agro-processing. So we're trying to teach a technical skill, teach them the business skills for entrepreneurship, that they could apply the technical skill they've learned to make money on their own.
Yes.
And that's one of the projects we're working on for reintegration as well. Now you can
Okay, we are going to open the lines. The local number to call is 465-2555. That's the local number. And the overseas number is 1-718-577-2916. We welcome your calls.
Yes.
Yes, I'm so anxious to hear all about this.
Are you coming
a
to get
farm or whatever you have. You have a shade house,
Yes.
a vegetable garden. I've seen photos of it.
Yeah.
And it really looks good.
We're really excited. Yeah. So now we just want to teach. Right now we're trying to get people to buy the fruits and vegetables before, of course, they go bad because we have an abundance of them. Yes. But that's why we came up with the idea of maybe we should start looking at agro-processing because we've got a lot of older kids in the home and it's important for them to learn that skill. And that's a skill that you can translate into money and not illegal money. So we really want the children to learn legal enterprise. So we just are encouraging them. There's not always jobs out there for young people, and young people are quite particular. If you say you want to work, then work for yourself if you feel there's not a job out there for you. So we want to teach them those independent skills as well.
Okay. Good. So the children are basically the ones who work in the shade house.
Yes, they do. We do have a project manager, yes, his name is Julian, but the children are always there, harvesting, planting, watering, the whole 9 yards. So yes, they are very much involved in the garden shade house, yes. Every afternoon, I mean, they take pride in it, they love it, they love when people come to look at it. They're always there making sure that everything is okay. They try to spray the weeds and those other stuff. So yes, they're very much involved.
Yeah, that's a nice thing to see. That was a good project. That we actually did. That's a project that we did with a partnership with
the Small Grants Program. Yes.
Small Grants Program.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's shout out the Small Grants Program.
Yes.
Jeff there who helped us, Jeff at Small Grants, who helped us to develop that program with the Shade House. It's a long time coming, but it was worth it.
Yes.
Now the vegetables that you grow in the shade house are basically for utilization at the children's home, or do you go to the market?
We use most of it at the home, and the ones that are left over, then we sell them.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
It is
we
for
try
the
to get the community involved. Yes, so it is.
So
for the
most of
market.
it basically is for subsistence.
Yes.
Yeah. No, but that doesn't mean don't come by. We have
Exactly. It really came into
Okay.
play because we really wanted to offset the food bill at home.
Yeah.
But
and give the children healthier options.
Exactly.
Because
Yes.
the last administrator was a nutritionist.
Yes.
So we really wanted
dietitian.
healthier
Yes.
options.
Yes.
So she sits on the board now. That's another member of our board. Our former administrator, she sits on our board.
So are the children given a normal, brought up normally, for example, or do they have cooks and do they have maids
Yes,
and do they
we
have all
have
of
a
that,
cook,
or they do
yes.
their own? They have to clean and all of that.
Oh,
Well,
no, they have to clean.
yes,
You mean-
we have a chores list at home.
They have
I
to
mean,
do
we want to
chores.
instill soft skills in the children, so when they leave the home, they'll be able to stand on their own to feed.
Yeah.
We have a cook. She do 3 square meals per day and 2 snacks. Most of the snacks are store bought, and then a lot of it are also homemade. So yes, we have a cook. The cook also does the washing at home, but the children do wash their little underwears.
And their
You know,
shirts
of
sometimes.
course,
It depends.
yes.
Because they have to
Socks and
learn.
the underwears, but they cook and
Like you
she
learned
does laundry.
growing up.
Yes, and she also, they do their bedding.
She does their laundry and their bedding and all of
Well,
that.
you know, sometimes they have to
and
do.
all that stuff.
Sometimes they have to do their own laundry. We
Yes.
agree that they
Yes.
should often have to do their own laundry. Like there's some.
But the
things that-
heavier things,
But the
heavy
heavier
things,
things
yeah,
that they
she
couldn't
does.
possibly
Yeah.
do on their own, then those are things. But yeah.
Because I noted you said that quite a number of them are teenagers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's the same struggle, getting
Exactly.
teenagers to do their chores.
Right.
Please, so much drama. But it's the same struggle trying to get the teenagers to do their chores. But if you come to the home to visit, the home is always clean. And the children have chores like sweeping, but you know,
Making
they're
your
in their
bed,
home making
yeah.
their bed, what they're responsible for, but they're not slaves in the
No.
home. So if we have a cleaner, then our cleaner does her job, but they have to clean up after themselves still. And they have chores. They have who sets the table and who clears the table. They wash dishes. They help to put out the meals. Sometimes somebody doesn't eat. Some of the older children take on the maternal role. They think they're very maternal, so they're always setting out the plate. So yeah, they live like a family as best they can.
Okay.
Even
Which
the
I
children
just
help
feels-
in the kitchen also.
Right.
Yeah, they like that.
Yeah,
That's a
they help,
privilege.
yeah.
They like it in the kitchen. We wish you would keep your rooms a little cleaner, children, if you're listening.
I know.
Can you keep your room a little cleaner?
Please.
We're working on it. We're working on it.
Okay, you must have had some success stories at the St. Christopher Children's Home. What are some of those success stories?
That's a tricky one, you know, because I don't think everybody that is in the home wants everybody to know they came from the home.
I know.
But you would be surprised at the amount of successful people in our society that you know and I know and everybody knows that came out of the home.
Wow.
And their stories coming out of the home. But we don't feel comfortable.
Without mentioning names,
Okay. I guess I should give you
what
some
are
stories.
some of the stories?
Well, for instance, my the former administrator told me about one. He was actually in the U.S. Navy, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he did well for himself. When he first came to the house, he was only 6 years old. His father has just recently been deceased. His mother was having a real hard time with him. He was swearing a lot of curse words, and nurse at the time told him, you know what, since you like to swear, yeah, I'm going to make a man out of you. And he did he forever sang nurse's praises. He gave a lot of trips to the States when she got on vacation and those sort of stuff, and he attributes everything that he got and the position that he rose to because of her. So yes, we've had a lot of success stories from the home. And I think that everybody who came to the children's home is a success.
I think so. I think if you made it to the home and you survived your childhood
Right.
and you're better off and not worse
Right.
off, then we
Yes.
consider all of those
Yes.
even small successes.
Right.
There are even a couple of
Sure,
individuals
Linda.
from the home that are small business owners here
Yeah.
in St.
Yes,
Kitts
yes.
and are doing very, very well.
Yeah.
And able to come back and contribute to the
yeah,
home
they do.
because,
Yes, that's very, very
Yes,
true actually.
yes.
A few.
a few of them do come back and contribute because they know where they came from and they know that the role the home played. So yes.
Yeah, because the children's home has been around a very long time.
Yeah. And we're trying to get back to that
70
place
years.
where it's like still a part of the community, you know, because, you know, children used to play. When they came to the tea party, we did it because we wanted to see what was the best practices
Yes.
from the past that we were not, you know, repeating. Everybody always wants to improve things, but sometimes old things worked too. So we wanted to see which things we could have, you know, addressed. And one of the things that came out was that children from the community always played with them. Like children from the community came in the home and they played, and it was
They
like,
still do.
and they still do.
They
So we still tried to encourage that,
Okay.
and the openness
Okay.
of the home as well. Like you could come to visit the home.
Any hour.
And you could come and visit. Just knock and say you'd like to
Yeah, any
visit.
day,
You know, if
yeah.
it's we are careful about, you know, safety.
Certainly.
But you know, we are an open, like even if you have an organization that wants to come, or you're a group. For a while, the Lion Club were doing they want to do a reading program.
We have people who keep parties on
right.
the ground for
Yeah.
their children and those other stuff.
Right, and we
On the
also-
grounds of the
Yes,
children's
yes,
home.
yes,
Yes, and then the kids
yes.
can
So the
take
kids,
part.
yes, can be a part of it, yeah.
And we recently got a new volunteer who comes out every Thursday and teaches the children yoga. And some of the children from the neighborhood come and practice yoga
Yeah.
there on the grounds. And she'd raise money to buy the mats, the yoga mats and other equipment that the children would need. And they look forward to it.
Yoga's
It's a lot
good.
of fun. So it's a free
Zen.
yoga class. Everybody's welcome to come on Thursdays.
Under the mango tree.
Under the mango tree.
Under the mango tree, yeah. That used to be our only thing in the garden, by the way, the mango tree. The children guarded it with their lives, so you were so lucky you could get a free mango. Now you got to pay for your watermelon. But I'm sure they're gonna start charging me for my free mangoes soon. They'll be like, no, this is part of the garden, Miss Hessa, you got to pay.
So you are doing an extremely important work,
Thank you. We're doing our best.
that of helping to raise our nation's children.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're our
And-
children.
Huh?
They are our children. They're all
Yes.
our children, right?
And we need to adopt that policy.
Yeah. But you're doing great work. Even having us here too
To
brings a
promote
lot
it, yes,
of
awareness to the
there's a
home.
lot of misconceptions about the home, and having this amount of time just to talk about the home.
What
really
are some
is
of
helpful
those
for us.
misconceptions that you would have heard?
Abusing the
Yeah, I
children.
think we get that
Yes.
we're abusing the children, that the children's home is closing down. We hear every week we hear the children's home is closing down.
They always want to know, what are you doing with this lots of money? from
Yeah,
the
what do we do
fund?"
with the money? There's no children there. We got a lot of stuff, but it comes with any society. The good comes with the bad.
Right.
If you're not involved, you wouldn't know. And we've had a few administrators come and go, so not everybody runs the roost the same way. So sometimes we take the criticism, and other times we're like, where did that come from? So all we can do really is just be consistent. And just do the work we have to do. As long as our children are feeling good about their care, then we feel like we're doing the best that we can. But bringing attention is important, and even a call to everybody in society to just do one thing. Like, it's not a lot to do one thing. Even if you just have one child, listen to one child, or have patience with one child, or everybody can do their own part. Because this is a completely volunteer board. Nobody at the children's home gets paid to be on the board. Everybody is there for free. And this is our administrator. She's the only paid one here. But so we're all happily here. As you heard Linda say, she's on the board 6 years.
Yeah, well,
I'm on the
with
board
this
now.
issue.
Yeah, like 3. So
Are there any issues that you wanted to speak about as the administrator,
Other than
what we have spoken about?
no.
I notice you have a lot of notes here.
she's new. We have confidence.
That's okay.
But she likes
I
her
need
notes.
it. Yes. Thank you for briefing me.
Website
yesterday.
though.
Oh, yeah, give them the website.
Oh.
People can visit the website.
Yes.
And also
Amazon Smile.
Right,
Yes.
Amazon Smile,
Yes.
because I love shopping online.
Yeah.
So it doesn't cost me any more to make a contribution when I'm buying a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
Right.
So if those of you who are on Amazon, most people don't know what Amazon Smile is. As NGOs and charitable organizations, you can register for Amazon Smile. We actually have a U.S. foundation, so we have somebody in the U.S. I want to tell you what it's called.
It's for the children.
It's for the Children Foundation. So that's the Children Homes Foundation that's based out of the U.S. That way we can get donations that they can claim on their taxes. But one of the projects we do is Smile Amazon. And Smile Amazon is exactly Amazon, but Smile Amazon. So if you sign up, every time you purchase, 1% of your purchase goes towards the children's home. So all you people out there who just love shopping, you can help by just shopping. Okay? As long as you sign up for Smile Amazon, and it will come up. It will, when you put up your Amazon, it will pop up after you sign up for it, and it'll say, do you want to put these purchases on Smile Amazon? It doesn't cost you anything more. Christmas is coming. We'll be happy for your Christmas 1%. And that is a way to help without having to do anything but what you like to do, which is shopping. So we have that as well.
Good. Is there anything that you would like to say before we leave?
Come on, May 30th.
I know.
Yeah.
Patronize, yes.
And
Yes.
patronized, yeah.
Yeah, maybe you should
One more
tell us a
time.
little bit more about,
One more
People want to
time.
hear again.
Martini, so Martini in Sky Style, which will be held on May 30th. It begins at 6 p.m. and it ends around 10. Usually we stay about 11. That's when Ugo wants us to leave. But no, I'm lying. You're welcome to stay. It's martinis and music.
It's just a
and
fun night.
A
Something
fun
out of the
night.
ordinary.
A nice
yes,
night for
yes.
you and your girlfriends to get
Yes,
out the house
yes. Happy
and
hour.
get
Prizes
you
all
a
night.
babysitter,
Right.
and for you fellas to come out and just see which ladies are out there supporting the children's home. Yeah. And also to come out and support us. It's only $75 a ticket.
Going to a good cause.
Yeah, going to a good cause. Tickets are available at the children's home, but more conveniently at Harper's. And you don't
Both
even
Harper's,
both
yes,
Harper's,
yes,
so you
yes.
don't even have to park in town. You could just go out to all that nice parking on the industrial site, and you can get your tickets at Harper's. We also like to thank Harper's, who are always so supportive of all of our projects by distributing tickets from their establishment. Thanks to Giselle.
And printing tickets.
And
Okay.
printing them for us for free.
Administrator. You have nothing to say?
No, I just wanted to touch base on the rumors, but we already touched base on those. So those are the only issues that so far, I had. Going forward, I probably might have a few more, and I'll be back to talk about them. But right now, that was the only issue that I had. Yes.
Linda?
Well, I'm the PR officer, so I
Sure.
try to make sure that we're presented fairly and in the public eye, and to let people know what is going on. And you can also visit our website, which is www.childrenshome.org.
St. Christopher Children's
Say,
Home.
I think, is it St. Christopher?
Yes, St. Christopher
Children's
Childrenshome.org.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome. We're trying to
And
be
for,
training
and
to
for
share
anyone
those
who
at the
wants
home.
to be a volunteer,
Yes.
because you want to make a pitch for volunteers as well.
Absolutely.
Yes,
we
we need
definitely need
volunteers.
So,
Yes.
what is the process for being a volunteer at the home?
Okay, all you have
That's-
to do is come to the home between the working hours of 8 to 4, and you can talk to me. I would give you a form to fill out, and we will take it from there. Really, it's not a big deal. It's not
No.
a big thing to do. You just come and have a little form, and
Yeah.
you can volunteer for anything. It doesn't really have to be tutoring. If you're good at braiding hair, I mean, you can volunteer your services. I mean,
We
you can
have a lady that comes
yeah.
out and teaches
Yeah.
the children sewing.
Yes,
Um,
exactly. Those
so we
other
got
stuff. I mean, if you're good
yoga.
with music and you want to volunteer your services to teach your children how to play a musical instrument, you can do that also. It doesn't have to be just one track.
Yeah.
You know.
Whatever
So-
your interest
Yes,
is.
and you can always visit us anytime. Our doors are always open. Don't be afraid. If you want to find out something that you might have heard on the road and you want to,
Just call.
just call or just come. I'm always there. I mean, the house parents are always there to help you and give you whatever guidance and information that you might need. And there's the board members also, so you can always stop by anytime.
Some people probably don't even know the location of the
That's
St.
true.
Christopher's Children.
We know this is a new thing we haven't we just recently discovered that people don't know where the children's home is.
So maybe you should, say it.
We are located down at Carden Avenue, going more towards Portland areas. Yes, so that's where we are located for the last
Yeah.
69 years.
Yeah, last 69 years.
Is that they used to
Behind
call
the
that the
Montessori.
Cardin home at one time?
No, the Cardin home is
no,
there.
the Carden
We're
home
down
is
the
different.
street.
We're
The
down
Carden
the
home is
street.
different,
Yes,
but
yes,
yeah.
yes. We're down the street.
Yeah.
From
It's
we're
for
on
the
the same
elderly
road.
and we're for the youth.
Yes, we're on the same road, the same side. You just have to come further
Come further
down.
down. Yeah.
Yes,
We're about
and you
4
can.
blocks away from
Yes,
Carden.
you can miss it. No, and
You know
no
where
permission
the Montessori
without-
school is? We're not far from
Yeah,
there.
there's no
something-
admission without
permission.
permission.
Yes,
No
they have a
admission without
sign in the
permission.
One
yard.
of the reasons why I asked that is because sometimes they're mixed up.
That's
I
true.
think they are.
That's true.
I think people think the
That's true.
children's home and the Cardin home are
Yeah,
one.
because-
I think they even mix it up with New Horizons sometimes. I think people are
I
confused.
think they're mixed up.
That's true.
Yeah. But the children's home is for children who need urgent and emergent care to start, and also who are at risk. It's a place of safety for our children, and that's
Right.
important. Any day a child
And
could be
it's
at risk.
open not just like I said for the federation. It's not just St. Kitts. I think people have
It's-
the notion that it's just for St. Kitts
That's
alone.
important
It's
too.
It's in
also for
Nevis.
Nevis. Yes, because we do have a child from Nevis,
Nevis.
and we're also open to work with child protection services in Nevis. And if you have any issues on a child you want to place, you can use the children's
Yeah.
home. Yeah.
So yeah, we really would like Nevis to start
yeah.
sending us more children because we know that there's a need.
Yes.
So when we don't see the children, we worry that children are in homes that are unsafe and that
Right.
they're not being protected because we know that there's a need. So that's important.
Okay. That's it?
That's it.
Yes.
Are you sure? Naima?
No, I didn't even know I was going to be on TV today, so you caught me off guard. But I'm all
You're
right.
not on TV today.
Oh, we're not.
You're on
Sunday.
radio.
I'm on radio.
radio
Sunday,
today.
Camera.
I think Sundays.
Sunday, do you have
yeah.
TV?
Sundays when it's gonna be played on.
Oh,
TV.
exciting! Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Well, great. Yeah. I don't think we have anything else. We're thankful for our partners and our community partners, and to be honest, everybody in the community that comes out and
And
every
is-
family that comes supports the home.
Yes.
And we really love the walk around. It makes the children feel loved and supported by the community. So
And it's
yeah.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of
It
fun.
is.
So we're just happy that you were
And
able to have us here today
yeah.
and give us an
Family friendly
opportunity to
atmosphere.
showcase some of the work that we're doing at the home and
It
to
is
encourage
certainly my
people to
pleasure
come out
to have you. You should have been here last week, but we had to make some
That's okay.
some
We can
adjustments
adjust.
and so on. But thank you very much for coming and sharing
you.
about
Thank
the
you
St.
very much.
Christopher's
Thank you.
Children
Thank
Home.
you.
Thank you.
And also, in terms of the importance of providing a healthy, a safe environment where children can actually flourish, where children can grow,
Full potential.
they can reach their full
full
potential, and so on.
That's the rights of the child.
That's the rights of the
To reach
child.
their full potential. Shouldn't everybody have the opportunity to reach
And
their
that-
full potential?
and
With
that is-
dignity.
with dignity.
Yes.
Right.
All of us would like that in life. Like Linda said, we just want to treat people how we're treated. Everybody wants to be treated with dignity and respect.
Right.
And then one of the motto that the children always recite at the home is remember where Jesus came from, humble beginnings, and where he rose to. So we always want to push that out there also. That is our motto.
That's a great way to
Yeah.
end.
Okay. Right. And I probably before I go, you brought something up at the end, and that is the spirituality, which is so important. and which a lot of our young people have departed from.
I don't think they departed from.
Well,
the spirit.
well,
Maybe
I
the
know we
church.
can get into that debate.
Yeah, I think they
I know what you're going to
from
go.
the institutions, but I think
Organized
they-
religion,
yeah,
maybe.
they'll come back.
Right, but
The children at the home love church. They go every week.
Yes.
or they go every week.
Yes,
and they're
they involved
actively in their
youths
churches.
and those other stuff. Yes, they do.
They like the church. Children do like church, you know.
Right,
We do. We just have to make it more interesting for them. They don't want to really hear about fire and brimstone, you know. It's not really their thing.
True.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much,
Thank you.
Linda.
Thank you.
No problem.
you,
Thank
and
you.
Shaniswa
Yes.
and Naima.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on today's
Thank you for having
program.
us.
No problem. Thank
Okay.
you.
You are listening to another edition of Working for You. Thank you very much for tuning in to today's program and listening to us and the importance of how we must raise our children in a healthy, safe environment so that they can reach their full potential. I am Les Roy Williams. Next week we will be back for another edition of Working for You.
Working for you. A weekly talk radio program which highlights developments of national interest and the activities of your St. Kitts Nevis government. Join host Roy Williams as he presents news, views, reports, and interviews about everything regarding the activities of the Team Unity government and the building of our communities and the development of St. Kitts Nevis. Tune in and call in to interact with your government and share your views regarding the upward forward development of your community and our beautiful Twin Island Federation. Working for You is weekly, every Wednesday live from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. on ZIZ Radio, Win FM, and Sugar City FM with rebroadcast on participating stations. Working for You.